My dear friends, welcome back. Today we are talking about something that touches the lives of millions of Australians, our Centrelink age pension. And I know this isn't just news, this is about your livelihood, your security, and your peace of mind. That's why I want you to stay with me until the very end of this video, because we are going to go through everything that has been confirmed for September 2025, including the new payment rates and the major changes that are already creating a lot of discussion across the country. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt the stress of opening a letter or logging into your bank account, waiting to see if the pension has gone up and whether it's enough to cover the bills, the rent, or even just the groceries? That feeling of uncertainty is something I know many of you live with, and it's why I am here today, to break it all down clearly, simply, and in a way that makes sense for you. If you are new here, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you won't miss out on important updates like this one. We are building a community where seniors and retirees can feel supported and informed, and I would love for you to be part of that family. Now let's start with the big picture. The age pension is more than just a government payment. For many, it's the foundation of retirement, the safety net that allows older Australians to live with dignity after decades of hard work. Over the past year, we've seen rising costs in almost every part of life: electricity, petrol, rent, food, healthcare. And these increases have made it harder and harder for seniors to stretch their pension across the entire fortnight. That's why the September 2025 changes are so important. In this video, we'll talk about exactly how much more you can expect to receive, who qualifies for the extra payments, how the income and asset tests are being adjusted, and what the government has announced regarding cost of living relief. We'll also cover some of the behind-the-scenes decisions, what led to these changes, and what experts are saying about whether it's enough. So if you're wondering, will my pension actually go up in September? By how much? And will it really make a difference in my life? Those are exactly the questions we are going to answer today. Let's begin by looking at the confirmed payment increase, and then we'll move step by step through all the other details. Now let's talk about the heart of this update, the new payment rates confirmed for the September 2025 Centrelink age pension. This is the part everyone has been waiting for, and it's important that we go through it carefully so you know exactly what to expect. From September 2025, the base age pension is set to increase. For single pensioners, the new fortnightly rate is confirmed to move closer to $1,100 per fortnight, which means an annual amount of around $28,600. For couples, combined payments will rise to just over $1,660 per fortnight, which equals about $43,000 a year. Now these numbers may sound good on paper, but let's be honest. The question is whether these increases can actually keep up with the rising cost of living. We'll come back to that in a moment. This adjustment is part of the government's twice-yearly indexation process. In Australia, the age pension is reviewed in March and September every year. The increases are tied to three key measures: the Consumer Price Index, CPI, the Pensioner and Beneficiary Living Cost Index, PBLCI, and a benchmark of male total average weekly earnings, MTARWE. Basically, the government looks at inflation, what essentials cost pensioners, and what average wages are doing, and then sets the pension increase based on whichever measure is highest. That's why the September 2025 change is so significant, because inflation and household costs have remained stubbornly high, pushing the pension rates upward. But here's where the story gets more interesting. Along with the standard pension increase, there are also adjustments to supplementary payments. The pension supplement and the energy supplement will continue to apply, but in many cases, pensioners will see an overall combined boost. For a single person, the supplement amounts can add another $80 to $90 per fortnight, while couples may see $120 to $140 extra. These little additions matter especially when you're trying to pay a winter power bill or cover the cost of a doctor's visit. Now let's pause for a moment and think about what these numbers mean in real life. Imagine you're a single retiree living on your own. Before September, your total pension and supplements might have been around $1,050 a fortnight. With the new rate, you're closer to $1,100, maybe a little more depending on your supplements. That extra $40 to $50 might not sound huge, but it could be the difference between being able to afford fresh fruit and vegetables every week or having to cut back. It might cover the rising cost of petrol to visit family or help pay for that much-needed prescription at the pharmacy. For couples, the changes are also meaningful. A combined increase of around $60 to $70 per fortnight may help cover the rising cost of groceries for two people, or even contribute towards rent if you're still renting in retirement. For homeowners, it might give you a little breathing room to manage rates or maintenance costs. It's also worth noting that these payments are not taxed if the age pension is your main income, and you don't need to apply for the increase. It happens automatically. That means when your pension lands in your bank account after the September adjustment, you should see the higher rate right away without needing to do anything extra. But here's where I need to be very clear. While the September 2025 changes are confirmed and automatic, not everyone will feel the same benefit. Why? Because some people's pensions are reduced due to the income and asset tests. This is where things get complicated, and it's something many seniors often find confusing. Don't worry. We'll go through it together in plain language. Before we dive into the income and asset tests, let me just remind you, if you find this information useful so far, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way, you'll always know when there's an important update that could affect your pension, your payments, or your financial security. All right, now let's move on to what these income and asset rules mean for you in September 2025. Now that we understand the new payment rates for September 2025, let's talk about the next piece of the puzzle, the income and asset tests. This is an area that often confuses people, and I know many of you have wondered why your pension amount is different from someone else's, even though you're the same age and both retired. The answer usually comes down to these two tests. The age pension in Australia isn't a flat payment that everyone receives in full. Instead, it's means tested, which means the government looks at your overall financial situation, how much income you have coming in, and what assets you own, and then decides how much pension you should receive. The goal is to give more support to people who have little or no private income, while reducing payments for those who have other sources of money, such as investments or large savings. Let's start with the income test. In simple terms, this looks at the money you earn from sources other than the pension. This could be wages if you're still working part-time, money from rental properties, bank interest, or superannuation drawdowns. Under the income test, you're allowed to earn a certain amount before your pension starts to reduce. For singles, that free area is around $204 per fortnight. For couples, it's around $360 combined per fortnight. Anything you earn above those amounts usually reduces your pension by 50 cents for each extra dollar, 25 cents each for couples. Now, here's the important part. In September 2025, these thresholds will be adjusted slightly upward. That means you'll be able to earn just a little bit more before your pension starts to taper down. For many seniors who do casual work, maybe driving a community bus, helping at a local shop, or working in childcare, this makes a real difference. It allows you to keep earning without losing too much of your pension. Next, let's look at the assets test. This one considers what you own, not just what you earn. Assets include things like savings, investments, cars, boats, and property other than your primary home. The home you live in is exempt, which means it doesn't count towards the test. But everything else does. If your assets are above a certain limit, your pension starts to reduce by $3 per fortnight for every $1,000 over the threshold. For September 2025, the asset limits are also being raised. For a single homeowner, the full pension cut-off point will sit around $674,000 in assets. For a couple who own their home, the limit is just over $12,000 combined. If you're renting, the limits are higher because the government recognises that rent is a major cost in retirement. For non-homeowner singles, the limit is around $916,000, and for couples, about $1.25 million. These numbers may sound large, but remember, assets include things like superannuation balances, shares, and even valuables like caravans or investment properties. Here's a simple example to make it clear. Imagine you're a single retiree who owns your home and has $200,000 in savings and investments. That amount is well under the $674,000 limit, so you would likely qualify for a full pension. But if you had $750,000 in assets, your pension would be reduced because you've crossed the threshold. For couples, it works the same way. Say you and your partner own your home and have $400,000 in combined assets. That's under the $1,012,000 limit, so you'd be eligible for a full pension. But if you had, say, $1.2 million in superannuation and savings, your pension would be significantly reduced or even cut off altogether. These rules can feel strict, but they are designed to target support where it's most needed. The September 2025 updates to both the income and asset thresholds mean that more seniors will qualify for at least a part pension, and those already receiving payments may see less of a reduction. It's also worth remembering that even if you only qualify for a part pension, you still receive the pension concession card. This card is incredibly valuable. It gives you cheaper medicines, discounts on utilities, public transport, and other services. Sometimes the card itself is worth almost as much as the pension, especially if you need regular medication or rely on public transport. So, to sum it up, the September 2025 changes don't just increase the pension rates, they also slightly relax the income and asset thresholds, meaning more people can qualify and others will see higher payments than before. In the next part, we're going to talk about something that every senior feels in their everyday life: the cost of living. Because let's face it, no matter how much the pension goes up, the big question is whether it actually keeps up with the rising prices of essentials like food, electricity, and rent. Now that we've gone through the new pension rates and the rules around income and assets, let's turn to the most important question of all. Will these changes actually help? Every pension increase sounds good when you hear the numbers. A few extra dollars each fortnight, a higher threshold for income and assets, an automatic adjustment that gives you a little boost in your bank account. But the reality is that many seniors are still struggling to keep up with the rising cost of living. Let's think about what life looks like today. A trip to the supermarket is no longer what it was even a few years ago. The price of basics, bread, milk, meat, fruit, vegetables, has gone up significantly. For those who rent, housing costs are now at some of the highest levels Australia has ever seen. Energy bills too have become a heavy burden, with winter heating and summer cooling eating into household budgets. And let's not forget health costs. Doctors' visits, medications, and dental care all take a bigger share of the pension than they once did. This is why the September 2025 changes matter. They won't solve every problem, but they do mean that seniors aren't being left behind completely. The system is at least trying to adjust to real-world conditions. When the pension is tied to inflation and average wages, it ensures that retirees get some level of protection against rising costs. It may not always feel like enough, but without these updates, many would fall even further behind. There's also another important side to this story: the recognition that seniors deserve dignity in retirement. Every increase, every adjustment is an acknowledgement that after decades of hard work, older Australians should not be forced to choose between heating their homes and buying groceries. That's what this debate is really about: fairness, security, and respect. Now, as we close this discussion, let's reflect on what you've learned today. From September 2025, pension rates are rising, bringing singles closer to $1,100 a fortnight and couples above $1,360 combined. Supplements will continue, giving extra support for energy costs and essentials. Income and asset thresholds are being raised, meaning more seniors will qualify for full or part pensions. Cost of living remains the biggest challenge, but these changes are a step toward easing the pressure. My friends, you've earned your retirement. You've given your best years to this country, to your families, and to your communities. You deserve stability and peace of mind. And while the September 2025 changes may not be perfect, they are progress. Before you go, I want to remind you of something. Staying informed is one of the best ways to protect your financial well-being. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. By doing so, you'll always know when new updates come out that could affect your pension, your benefits, or your daily life. And here's something I'd love for you to do. Leave a comment below and tell me what city or town you're watching from. Let's build a community of seniors across Australia, sharing experiences and supporting one another. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, no matter how small the increase may seem, every step forward matters. Stay strong, stay informed, and know that you're not alone on this journey. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.